Alright folks, how you doing? Welcome back to Tribe of Judah. And in this video, we're going into a major revision of Scots history from when Scotland was Jewish. Disclaimer, under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use. In bed with an elephant, most Americans, and certainly most Scots, probably believe they know a lot about the history of Scotland. But as the author of the recent book In Bed with an Elephant notes, the worst features of Anglicisation were the exclusion of Scottish history and literature in the school syllabuses. Sir Walter Scott. Most of us draw our notions of Scottish history from Braveheart and Rob Roy. Never mind that the former may have been, quote, a wildly crude Hollywood distortion of the Wallace story. It's a pretty good description, actually. And the latter is based on the work of Sir Walter Scott, the romantic inventor of the historical novel and largely discredited promoter of the Great Highland Revival of the early 1800s. King Charles II. The Scottish royal Stuarts were dark and Semitic in appearance. Of Charles II's dusky appearance, his mother, Queen Henrietta Maria, quote, had been half mortified, writing after her confinement that the child was so dark she was ashamed of him. He was quickly dubbed the Black Boy. Enemies made out that he was a black bastard begotten by a black Scotsman. Rough, like. Mediterranean Jews, who proposed that many, perhaps most, present-day Scots are descended from the same types of ancestors who produced these personages. Further, we suggest that their forebears were Mediterranean Jews from France, Spain, and Portugal. If we are to be believed, however, we must provide much sounder documentation than a series of portraits. Are they talking about the portraits when you go into Holyrood Palace, all up on the wall there? Because they were all done by the same artist. I don't know. I'm just guessing what they mean by that. I think that's what they're referring to. If you go into Holyrood Palace, just towards the end of the tour, they've got all these portraits up on the wall. I think that's what they're making reference to, but I'm not entirely sure. Scottish history. So we turn now to a discussion of some important facts missing from most people's knowledge of Scottish history. We will review 5 well-known books. As we shall show, Scotland was not and is not predominantly Celtic, nor is its ethnic history even known with accuracy. Well, I don't really fault Hirschman and Yates for saying that, but if you go into The Great Deception and the works of Collins Beaumont, you find that the Hebrews and the Celts are largely the same thing. You know, they all came from the same area, you know, northern Scotland. But then again, Beaumont would be considered a fringe historian, and would Hirschman and Yates take him seriously even if they had heard of him? Who knows? Probably not. But I think it's a lot closer than Hirschman and Yates think. You know, the Hebrews and the Celts and the Gaels and all this, you know, I think they're really much more similar, if not the same, than even they realized. But yeah, some very good points in there. Rather disturbing, the bit about Charles II. I mean, you just give him birth and that's what's going through your head. I mean, doesn't strike me as a very balanced family, you know. But yeah, leave your thoughts and comments down below.